And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 67 of the Sling'N podcast. My name is Kent Hauer, and I'll be your sole host for the evening. My friend TJ is fighting the Russians. I wish I was kidding. He's having arguments with the Russians right now on the internet with computers. Scary, scary times. Anywho, let's see. We have some people. They're in North Carolina. Their internet's kind of working, it seems. Yeah. We are pleased to be bringing somebody that has never been on the show, although has been a fan and been tangentially behind the scenes. Guy by the name of Mr. Dan Brady. Dan, what's up?
How's it going, Kent?
Good, bud. How are you doing?
I'm doing as good as I can.
And the other goofball sitting next to him is the one, the only, Mr. Tim Kelly from Apache Solutions.
Hey, everybody.
So we should congratulate Tim on his building's opening. Right?
Thank you. Yeah. Finally, man. Only took a few years.
Well, I have 0 buildings to call my own that I teach in. So
the first time I saw those things, I thought it was a homeless camp.
It was. Zach has lived in them for.
It kind of was. I mean, we did have some people sleeping in there at one point in time.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll have some classrooms to teach out of when you come down here and teach your CCW Essentials class.
That's right.
If you need it, it's there.
That's right. That'll be fun. So here's the deal, guys. We should do some proper intros and explain just who Dan Brady is. And I can't say damn Dan. Tim, can I get one Dan Brady?
Damn Dan Brady.
There it is. So I'm not huge on guys' introductions, so I'm going to just say this. Dan Brady is a lifelong firearms trainer from the perspective of a teacher and a student. He is a law enforcement veteran. He's a DOD enforcement kind of guy. Currently, he does some training in his real job. And like most of us, he does a whole heck of a lot of training in his fun job, sometimes with the Apache crew. He's also one of the 19 guys that's honored to be one of Dave Spalding Handgun Combatives certified instructors. So through Tim, I just keep meeting more and more of these handgun combatives people. And, most of them are pretty cool. I don't know about that Scott Cronin guy, but the rest of them, they're pretty cool, right? So, Dan, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and, give us a little intro, man.
So, my name is Dan Brady. I've been a cop for a little over 20 years now. I've worn a variety of police hats, a couple different areas. I spent about 10 years in Vermont. I was a cop up there, moved back to North Carolina. I say back to North Carolina because I spent a few years here in the employ of United States Marine Corps. I was an infantryman there for a few years. Oddly enough, in the exact same unit that Tim was also an infantryman. We were just separated by several years since I am his senior by near a decade or so. So I got out of the Marine Corps and I became a police officer, went through an academy, and then I started shooting more recreationally with a couple of guys, and I realized that I didn't know anywhere close to what I needed to know. So a lot of us have that eye-opening moment where you go to a competition or you're shooting on a line, with somebody who begins to spank you royally, and you feel foolish. Like a child. And it was really an aha moment because, I left the Marine Corps thinking that I knew everything there was to know about doing this. And I was really, really wrong. So I began to search out people who knew more than me, which was at that point virtually everyone. So I met a few people here and there. The first one who really brought me on this journey was a former federal agent, worked for the FBI, who kind of took me under his wing and smacked me around verbally, mentally, physically. Pretty much abused me in every way possible that clothes stay on anyway. And taught me a lot of what I now know. And he also introduced me to my longtime friend and mentor, Dave Spalding, along about 2003 or 2004. So I've been on this journey for a number of years now. So I went to several Dave Spalding classes over the course of the years, and then I branched out a little bit. I went to Blackwater back when it was called Blackwater, and now it's called something else entirely. I have no idea what. I've been to a few other places through, my law enforcement training. I got sent to a couple of other firearms schools that I found rather dogmatic in their approach to firearms instruction, which didn't really suit me. If I want dogmatic firearms instruction, I could have just stayed in the Marine Corps. And the one size fits all approach. And if you don't, you end up doing push-ups and flutter kicks in the sand and stuff like that. So I was selected by Dave Spalding to be one of his 19 or 20 instructors. And that's where I met this guy right here. And we clicked, and we were fortunately geographically adjacent. We live just a few hours apart in North Carolina. And I started hanging out with Apache and coming up here, and we taught a couple of handgun combatives classes together, and we just continued to really click. And he introduced me to some really cool people, yourself among them. I know you don't look really cool, but you are really cool despite the appearance. And I just, I continue to learn. I've met some really great folks, through this networking that just kind of naturally happens at these classes. When you get like-minded people around each other, a certain percentage you can't help but mesh with. Some of them are dickheads, and some of them are just there to collect patches or trophies or certificates or whatever, but some are really there to actually learn and advance their own knowledge and their own skill sets and increase their own performance envelopes. And those are the people that I end up forming these long-term connections with. And now, through social media and this kind of technology, which is really escapes me most of the time, it's a lot easier to maintain those connections over the course of, months and years and long geographic distances. I can sit here and look at your mug while you're sitting up there in ice cold Pennsylvania, and we're down here in the relative warmth of the South.
That place is only warm because Miss T makes casseroles. The whole goddamn
She does get to her casseroles, does she not?
She does. So I'll give you guys a little bit of color on why Dan Brady's on the podcast, because I've met him and we sat on Timmy's porch or Timmy's back porch area and hung out and talked and discussed training, all that kind of stuff.
And hadn't even been on a lot of this.
Yeah. Hadn't even been on the line together yet. And throughout the course of an evening, he and I basically did a podcast. We just didn't have any microphones. I mean, in all seriousness, right? We tried to set Zach straight on his life. I'm not sure if we managed that or not, but we certainly talked many things. We talked family, we talked life, we talked guns, we talked learning, we talked learning theory. We share different experiences in the past and stuff with regard to like places we've lived in the world and stuff. And it's just one of those things where I just continue to meet really amazing people through this experience. And once I was done with all them, I figured I'd bring Dan on. So, that was like 66, and now here's Dan. So that's really cool. It's neat to be able to honestly say, though, in all seriousness, there are so many good people in this training business. For as much as you want to hear about, incompetence or instructors that don't know what they're doing, or people who are dangerous or giving out bad info or whatever, I don't know, man. Either I've got a 4-leaf clover in my back pocket or what, but I just keep meeting amazing people.
Yeah, but I mean, think about what you're saying though. All right, what percentage of those people that you meet are the people that you're talking about? Is it, do you really think that that's a high percentage, or is that like a kind of minimal percentage?
Maybe I'm just lucky.
I mean, perhaps.
Or maybe those of us who are legit are just attracted to each other, and we end up running in the same circles. So then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and we grow it person by person. That's exactly what Tim's been doing down there. I mean,
that's a fair theory.
You know, maybe that's the point. Either way, though, I keep being pleasantly. I'm not even surprised anymore. I'm encouraged by what I see. So, you know, if I'm gonna be all mushy or whatever, I'll just get it out early. Another solid dude. You could open a training company tomorrow and do very well and go any place in the country and put out solid quality content, and I'd send people to you because you're legit. As it turns out, you seem to want to do it with your buddy, and that makes a lot of sense too. But, you know, good is good. So there. Now I will never, ever, ever compliment you again. And we got Noel Tech in the chat. How are you? Oh my God.
He's being rather short in his comments, but
well, he's really short in life too. So
inappropriate touching. Zach's attracted to me. This is great. See, this is what happens when I don't have TJ to read that. You know what, Tim? You're in charge of the chat.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying to keep it, bro.
Oh my God.
Chat over here.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
Dan. That device in front of you is called a computer. Now I don't know if you know, but
I'm aware of what it is.
He's about 6 inches away from the screen right there. Like,
I'm going through there. It's it's about what I expect.
He's being very generous with that. Just about a decade older than me thing. Yeah.
Jeez. So, Dan, let's talk for a little bit about some of your experiences. You're not by any means the first cop, Marine, handgun combatives person to have ever been on here. But I find it interesting that every one of you has kind of had a little bit of it different. For as many of your approaches are very similar to things, you guys are all unique individuals, and there is not a lot of dogma. Holy smoke! Here's Eric tweet while we're at it. Speaking of unique individuals, good Lord. Yeah. So, Dan, why don't you tell me a little bit about your time with Dave, and you know your experiences in training under him, and then certifying, you know, as one of his guys and all that kind of stuff. What has it meant to you? What have you gained from it? All that.
So I started reading Dave Spalding articles back in the 80s. You know, Tim was in diapers. Like, I mean, I knew about Dave Spalding, you know, when I was in middle school. And when I got to meet him, imagine being, you know, a gigantic, you know, classic rock fan and meeting, you know, Billy Joel or, you know, somebody else just way, way up there who's been around forever. And it was one of those moments of, man, I actually have met this guy face to face. And then I don't know, probably a month or two later, I had a question about something, and I sent him an email, not really expecting to hear back from him. And he emailed me back like a day later, and he was like, yeah, I remember you. You know, you're the guy I had to break a metaphorical 2x4 across his face to get this point across. You know, because I was, 24 and stupid like most 24-year-olds are. Zach. You know, you a lot of people in that age bracket, you have to do something to get their attention, and you know that's what he did, and that really began this mentorship that I've had with him as looking up to him, and really following his approach to things, not because of a dogmatic approach, but really because of the opposite of that. You know, the utilization of what works and the eschewing of what does not. the idea that, human motor performance is driven by efficiency. And that really, really, really resonated with me. And over the course of time, every time he said something, I've been with Handgun Combatives since long before Handgun Combatives was a company, is what I kind of like to say. I've known him that long. It's been an honor to be included with that group of people, and to be selected as one of those instructors. You got guys like Eric, Alex Embry, this guy, and getting to be a part of that has meant an awful lot to me.
So the selection process itself, at what point did it occur to you that you should apply? What made you decide to apply, or did Dave just beat you over the head with a 2x4 and tell you were applying?
I texted him. I said, this is something I'm interested in. Do you think it's worth me applying? And he said, yeah, absolutely. He's a man of few words, in most respects. He's
especially in text
format. I think my most common text that I get from Dave Spalding is that.
Right.
It's just the one emoji. I might write him 2 paragraphs of text, clarifying something and asking a question, and I get.
He can run a Facebook post that's
3 pages long,
pretty much like the size of a small book, and his text messages are just like, the smiley face emoji, maybe thumbs up if he's been drinking, maybe the smiley face emoji and the thumbs up, or good job, or yeah, sure.
I'm just envisioning
don't be an ass.
I'm envisioning 2 soup cans and a string.
That's about his level.
And him drawing on the other end, and yeah, I could see that. So,
he professes that he hates social media in general, and I can see that.
Yeah, it's just a different generation, right?
I could certainly attribute a lot of that to a generational gap, but at the same time, there's some boomers out there who just really put out a lot of stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
Some of it's worthwhile and some of it's really not.
I will tell you this. If firearms training doesn't work out for me, I have a job in the dad joke business.
Yeah, dude, you've been killing the dad jokes.
I'm just saying, man.
For sure, you've been killing them lately.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. Maybe I can do the boomer social media thing. So you've taught now how many of the handgun combative courses with Tim, or
we've taught 2.
Yep.
You guys have done 2.
We've taught the combative pistol and kinetic.
Mm-hmm.
Kinetic was the first one that we taught together, and having never taught together before, literally 0 of the students there knew that we hadn't taught together before, or even picked up on the fact that we'd known each other for less than a year. It just sometimes you click with people, and in a very short period of time, you get right on the same wavelength, and things just come naturally. Having some shared history, or shared training, the shared experience of the Marine Corps, of the infantry, certainly is a baseline place to jump from. But I'd been in the combative pistol sort of journey for considerably longer than Tim had, but watching how he performed, at the Handgun Combatives instructor course, I was like, yeah, this is somebody I really would like to align with and learn from. And that sort of brings us to, the last couple of years. the first time that I came up here to Apache and saw the students that he had and the people who were becoming these young instructors. And, similar to what you were just saying, Kent, about incredible amount of luck in just finding good people. I've found that Apache, the place and the people that make it up to just be something really special. And it's something that I am really, really happy to be a part of.
I think really what made it easier or more natural, I should say, for Dan and I to really kick it off together, teaching handgun combatives content was, as Dan said, you're brought up around handgun combatives and studying that methodology. You've been studying the handgun combatives methodologies for so long, you pretty well damn near know it verbatim. Like it comes natural to you. And then my real entry into teaching combative aspects with a handgun really stemmed from my first time training with Dave. And that's where I really started to study deeply. I mean, Kent, I mean, I really, from the very get-go, that was what I committed to. I committed to mastering those essential skills and mastering that methodology to the best of my abilities, because when I put it up against other metrics and stuff like that, it was the one that made the most sense to me at this time in my training career. Right. So and I felt like it was more important to commit to one methodology. So I committed to that methodology. And so by the time Dan and I, met, here's a guy that's been studying this methodology for how long? 15, 20, 30 years, for as long as it's been around. How old are you again? So he's been studying this methodology for just about as long as, I've at least been in adulthood, and, I may have not have been studying it for as long, but I had put some serious commitment into it. And so by the time it was time for us to meet up and teach our first class together, it was fairly natural. I mean, it was fairly natural for both of us, because it was, yep, I know this. Yep. And I know this. And we both seen eye to eye, because it was, it was the content that we knew. And it flowed really well. The kinetic combat pistol course was great, man. But the combative pistol, that was where it was at. I mean, it blended so well. I thought it was damn near perfect. It really was. It was great.
I'm going to do a bro thing and make a football analogy. I rarely do it. But it's kind of like guys that, like the coaching tree. You hear about the coaching tree sometimes. Like all the different football coaches that coached under Bill Parcells, and how there's 40 or 50 guys on planet Earth that can all run the same offense and nobody's ever talked to each other.
Right. And
you could just get hired and go there tomorrow and go Z post X right on 3, and everybody looks at each other and knows what that means.
Yeah.
And, there might be 50 or 60 people on planet Earth that knows what that shit means. And they don't have to have all actually worked together to make it work out.
Right.
God damn it, Kent. That was a good enough. I'm giving myself
that is actually
brilliant,
really good, dude.
Brilliant.
That's a gold star. I'm giving myself a gold star for the night. So, yeah, I mean, you guys are on the common term would be the same sheet of music, right?
So, it's amusing because, Tim came at it, his first, real experience with combative pistol stuff was through Dave Spalding. Whereas, my first experiences with that were from the law enforcement perspective and the institutionalized training that is law enforcement pistol ranges. And the stuff that gets taught at police academies, and, granted, I've been at this for, a little over 20 years now. It's almost universally about 20 years behind whatever is being taught at a given law enforcement academy is usually became mainstream about 20 years ago. They were, I mean, the first police academy that I went to, they were really still teaching isosceles, or not isosceles, the Weaver stance. I'm sorry. They were still actively teaching that.
Mm-hmm. The PA post qualification still is done in 6-round increments.
You know, you can't. Breaking institutional training is really, really difficult to do. One of the things that I have had a really, really difficult time with personally is going back and forth between, you know, what I have had to teach, you know, teaching at police academies and things of that nature, what I'm required to teach, and what I know actually works and works better and is more efficient, and more effective. And it really drives me crazy. When I went to firearms instructor school in Vermont in 2005, I think, one of the things that was being taught was reloads, and there was a instructor on the line who was we were teaching reloads out here at Extension. We were doing this number, reloading out here at Extension, and it was just obvious garbage to me. And so I kept on bringing my pistol back here into my workspace, reload, and come back out. And he came up in very, very traditional, I'm the instructor, I know better than you fashion, and looked up at me because he's about that much shorter than I am. And is that how we fucking taught you how to do that? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. Well, why are you doing it that way? I'm glad you asked. Because the way I do it is better and is much more efficient. Oh, yeah, you really think so? I'll tell you what. I'll bet you all the beer you can drink against all the beer I can drink. And
that is not an even bet.
and we'll go 10 for 10. And if you beat me on one of 10 reloads, I'll buy you all the beer you can drink. And he wouldn't take me on the bet, but my point was still made. And finally, the range master who was running things back then, who was a really, really great police lieutenant, looked over at him and said, "Joe, you leave him the fuck alone. You just go over there." And that was pretty great.
I think, though, in his defense, the reason they teach that in Vermont is because they're wearing so many goddamn layers of clothing that they can't get their arms back to the center. They're like Ralphie in that movie, The Christmas Storm.
Well, maybe when you're 5'4" and have short arms, but when you have a 76-inch wingspan, you know, I can move my arms a little bit more.
I'm just saying.
You nearly busted out my window just then. Did you see that?
Yeah. It's fucking. Dan Brady is a large human being. If you folks don't, he's like 7'8".
Good God, I'm not Bill Brasky, for Christ's sake. Let's stop. All right,
big motherfucker. Well, I'm like 4'2", so I'm like, "Hello, Dan. Nice to meet you." Yeah.
My number one fan. He was in here earlier. There you go. Where'd Rodney go? Rodney, you there?
There he is.
Hey, Rodney. Yeah, Rodney posted something on the Apache Facebook the other day about me standing 8 feet tall and something or other, and my family got a real big kick out of that, thanks to my wife.
Aren't you like the shortest one in your family or something like that?
Yeah, my dad's significantly larger. My brother's significantly taller. So, yeah.
You and I are going to have to fight over Rodney, though, because he's my biggest fan.
Oh, you can have Rodney. I want Zach. So.
Okay. I will take that deal. That's an easy deal. I'll take that deal all day. So
you and Rodney have similar hairlines. So
yeah, non-existent. So let's talk for a minute about the institutional training stuff in all seriousness, right? What can be done to unfuck that stuff? How can we fix it? Is it our job to fix it?
Let's be honest. That is a Herculean task. I don't think that's something that any one person could possibly fix. And you're just asking for all kinds of abuse in even attempting it. I think Tim and I were actually just talking about something similar over dinner. And I think the point to do is to understand that at the institutional level, the vast majority of the individuals that you teach, all they want is the bare minimum. They just want the pass. They just want the score. They want to get done with their qual and go home early. They really just don't care. They just don't care. And I think that understanding as an instructor, as a teacher, I think understanding that you're not going to reach everybody is really fundamental to being able to sleep at night. Because if you take it to heart every time that the majority of the people that you're teaching at the institutional level, now I'm not talking about like private instruction, I'm not talking about paid classes, but I'm talking about service academies. People are getting paid their daily salary to go here. The majority of those people don't care. They just don't. However, when you find the interested student, when you see that individual who is hanging on your every word, who is really trying, your focus of effort should be on that person. You should be pointing them in the direction of, this is where you need to start seeking other knowledge. This is where you need to go to outside sources. This is what you need to read. Not enough people read. Everybody does this on the keyboard. Yep. Not enough people read. I hate to keep coming back to Dave Spalding, but Dave said, you want to learn something new, read an old book. Because there's only so many ways to do this, and they all got invented sometime between 1860 and 1920. The newest obvious techniques out there are 100 years old. The only thing that's really advancing is bullet technology and firearms technology. But how to do this is not changing. And until we can set our phasers on stun, this is going to be the same.
See, that's where this isn't really a disagreement, but like when we're talking about students, many of the students are there to receive the minimum, the bare minimum, right? And after I just finished reading, I don't know if you got a chance to read it yet, Kent. Was it Strategies and Techniques for Defensive Handgun Training by Carl Wren and John Cobb? Fantastic book. And in that book, he produces a ton of awesome data. And he talks about minimum competency standard.
You want another drink?
Our focus, I just can't speak, bro. And our focus with Apache has always been to change the minimum. That's really been like change that minimum competency, right? So yeah, I understand you want the bare minimum. We need to change what the minimum really is, and that's the hard part. We were just talking about that a while ago. The industry standards, or not the industry standards, the standards to get your concealed carry, or the standards to get this, or standards to get that, are so low and so far behind. That is what really needs to be progressed. That is what really needs to be pushed ahead. So we do raise that minimum bar up, so that guy that says, I'm just here to get that check in the box and get that bare minimum. Well, let me show you what bare minimum really looks like as far as minimum competency, right? I think there needs to be a larger focus on that. I really do.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what at all those of us in the civilian private training industry can do to help law enforcement and mill, besides helping the guys and gals who show up when they do.
The answer to that is inspire greatness. And that was the one part that I missed in my little spiel there about the vast majority of institutional learners. Inspiring greatness, showing your students again at the institutional level what is possible, performing at a very high level in terms of when you're demonstrating something. Show them how fast it can be done. I've had people on the line with me before who have just kind of caught me out of the corner of their eye and be like, this was a reload drill. You were supposed to do 2 and reload 2, not just shoot 4. And I was like, yeah, I reloaded. And they were like, no, I don't think you did. And I'm like, watch next time. It can be done very rapidly. But when you look at what most police officers do for a reload, it takes about 6 or 7 seconds. When you show them that you can do a 2-second, 2.5-second reload, off a duty rig, it blows their mind. Inspiring some desire to greatness is part of the equation. The private students, man, when you get people to, there are two kinds of student that I really, really like. Those who pay to show up and brand new academy recruits, because they're just sponges. They really, really, really want to be there. In-service cops are like the worst students in the world because they just don't care.
Yeah.
They're there for the check. They're there for their qual. And, there may be some chest beating. Oh yeah, I shot a perfect score today. Congratulations. It's not that difficult a course.
Yeah. How many times throughout your career, I mean, can you think back on folks that Brandon's in the chat talking about finding the meat eaters and putting 100% of our resources into those people. Can you think of examples in your professional career where you found that spark in somebody and really pushed and helped?
Oh yeah, I got a good buddy who was a young deputy sheriff when I met him, who's now a FBI agent, and man, this dude, he was on the edge just constantly. He's just waiting to hear the next word that comes out of your mouth, waiting to watch the next drill that you shot, waiting to see what it was that you were going to do, and he wanted to do it. And I spent, I don't know, a solid year and a half just, shooting regularly with him. And, the dude shoots like a house on fire now. I mean, he's amazing. My superior, when it comes to, a trigger puller now, the first time that we kind of shot side by side, and this is going back almost 10 years, the first time that we shot side by side and he really spanked me in a bunch of drills, he kind of chuckled and kind of shook his head and was a little bit full of himself and everything. And he said, you having a slow day, old man, sort of thing. And I said, no, I'm on today. I'm on it. You're better than I am now. And he just kind of chuckled to himself and ha 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 sort of thing. And I said, but I'll take that, man. You know why? And he said, why? I said, because I built you. I don't have to be the best. I'm never going to be the best. He's better than me. But if I can advance somebody's knowledge, we're all on the same team. We're the goal here, the ultimate goal here. We all have our individual goals, but the ultimate goal here is to have a more competent base of armed people in this society. Yep. That's the ultimate goal. And if Tim can advance that, if you can advance that, if somebody that I train tomorrow takes their journey a couple of years down the road, and then they start training people and they start turning out good, competent, armed professional individuals, people I've never met, I had some effect down that road. And if one of them turns into the next Rob Leatham, awesome. That's fantastic. I don't have to be better than that person. We're all on the same team.
Yeah, man.
We wear the white hat. We're the good guys. And the more good guys who are able to do this well, the better.
Right. Absolutely. And part of changing that, like Brandon was saying in the chat, he's got a lot of really good stuff to say. I gave him the nickname the first time I met him. I gave him the nickname Proverbs because, man, he can really spit out some really cool stuff. But yeah, absolutely.
Somebody pulled that guy's string in 1994 and he never shut the fuck up. Where's my whiskey?
Bro, it's empty.
Yeah, where's the bottle?
Oh, here you go.
Dumbass.
So, pour you another one, bro.
I'm gonna.
So what he's talking about is like going after the meat eaters, right? Finding those that are hungry for knowledge and really trying to make a difference in those people. And bro, that's what I'm doing all day long. Like they know I'm here, right? And I'm out actively trying to pursue them, and I'm trying to make a difference with them. That is absolutely, that should be your primary focus, most definitely. But changing that mindset, right? Changing that overall mindset within the community of you can be better. You can strive to be better. There are better ways to go about doing this. You don't have to accept this bare minimum. And if we're going to call it the bare minimum, let's really be honest with ourselves about what the bare minimum actually is. And it isn't this damn check in the box, right? I guess that's what I was meaning by talking about, changing the bare minimum and that sort of thing. Absolutely, your primary focus is your students, man. The ones that are actively trying to pursue it. But the only way you're going to do that is by building numbers, by getting people who are actively involved, making a difference in your society, making a difference in your community, right? Where folks are saying, man, I thought, I thought I was good at shooting or whatever. Going outside, I can hit a tin can at, 15 paces or whatever from my back porch. But then my buddy Bob, who has been training down the road at Apache, wow, he can really perform like I'd never seen before, to standards that I'd never even heard of before. Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Try to show them what these metrics actually look like, because most people don't even know what they look like.
Yeah, when you start teaching people who've never seen a shot timer before, didn't know that one existed. I've had a number of internet-based arguments over the course of time. With some people who were actually rather large name instructors, who go with the there's no timer in a gunfight. Yeah, there is. It just doesn't go beep. We had a discussion. I'm sure you've seen the video, the snow removal gunfight that occurred.
That was awful. Man.
That was like an hour and 10 minutes from here.
Yeah,
that was only over in Philly.
There, the aggressor fired 6 unanswered and unresponded to rounds. If that's not the timer in a gunfight, I don't know what is. And we were talking down on the range about that there was no response. Not all right. They weren't armed to begin with, and even if they were, they just stood there like just
yeah. See, this is my
very Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I've been boiling on this one. So since you brought it up, and I really hate to speak ill of the dead, but the gentleman in that video died on his knees, begging for his life as his wife was murdered.
Right.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Look, man, we look at things differently, and Tim made this comment while we were having this discussion. Any reasonably competent person, as soon as that first bang went off, I mean, that's the beep of your shot timer. And if you're talking about 5 additional, not very rapidly fired, unanswered rounds, any one of us could have emptied a magazine into that individual before the 4th round went off. And, the fact that they literally just stood there and really didn't move is really unfathomable to folks who have our kind of mindset. But that's an entirely different thing, because if you're trained to react, if you have that reactional time, it's time to get to work is one thing, but having the wherewithal to go from scared to aggressing that threat, it takes a lot more thinking. It takes a lot more mental training than time on a firing line. It takes having thought about, what am I willing to do to make it stop?
So that goes back to what we learned from Tom, man. Tom Givens talks about, the victim mindset of, I can't believe this is happening to me right now.
Yep.
Who gives a shit? Respond, do something, right? Who cares? It is happening. Stop asking why, do something, right? But most people who've never had to deal with a situation that was that severe, that abrupt, and that life-threatening at that very moment, they've never had to handle that, or they've never trained for that, they're not going to respond accordingly. They're not going to respond with the necessary aggression, right? So these folks, never mind the fact that they antagonized the entire thing that ended up in their lives, right? They were not prepared to respond with the necessary aggression to ultimately save their own lives. They were not prepared for it at all.
That comes into a I hate to try to typify this down to a specific stereotype, but that comes down to like a suburban housewife sort of mindset of not understanding that irrational people do irrational shit. Right. It's not a rational thing to go back over here and get my gun because you're talking shit about snow removal. That's not a rational response. That's not something that we would consider to be a pertinent in an argument with a neighbor. That's not something it's not something we're going to bring to the table. No. But irrational people do irrational shit. And, you have otherwise rational people who get really mad, or who get really intoxicated, or who just snap. And they've had it up to here with whatever's going on, and they start to do things that no rational person would do. And I'm not claiming to know anything about this individual who murdered 2 people and then right. capped himself. I'm just saying in general that the people with that victim mentality, they don't understand that bad people don't think like you do. They don't react like you do. They do strange stuff, and you have to be, for lack of a better term, evil. They cross a line and they become evil, and you have to have that in here and in here to be like, time to put an end to this, and to not only have the mental wherewithal but the physical tools to do it.
So I want to point out, Brandon said it's actually not a lack of understanding; it's a lack of acceptance. And that's absolutely correct. That is true of acceptance, because
profound words from my little friend.
Yeah, thanks, Proverbs. So what he's trying to say there is it's not that they don't understand that someone is capable of doing something that terrible to somebody. They're just not willing to accept that people would be that vile, right, or that that evil, right, or that crazy. They're not willing to accept that, and for many people that I've come across, I've got friends, I have family, I have lots of folks that I've had this discussion with, and they just refuse to believe it, man. They refuse to believe that this is even possible. Well, one of my favorites was, well, what do you mean? Why would they do that? Why would you even think they might do that?
Shit?
What do you mean? Why would they do that?
They do it.
Only a crazy person would do that. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's the person that you're preparing for, man. It's not me. It's not him. It's not the guy that actually thinks rationally. It's the guy that's off his rocker, like the dude in the snowplow thingy, the snowplow video. Yeah, man, it's a serious lack of acceptance. Thanks, Brandon.
So real quick,
Get your own freaking show.
Yeah,
Brandon, you throwing me like 1,000 rounds of 9mm.
Oh my God, are you serious, dude? Fix yourself.
What?
He owes Dan. No,
that's fine.
That's wrong, bro.
We can pay him.
Fix yourself.
We can pay him off when Brandon comes on the show. I'm Mr. No Attack LaBeouf. I'm hereby inviting you.
That's just such a small thing. A small thing, Brandon, to be so little about. I'm terrible at these.
Oh my God.
It's just funny because he's so small.
I really hate that I'm not drinking whiskey and the two of you are right now.
I'm not. I'm drinking water, bro.
He's drinking water.
I'm just terrible at the small jokes.
Oh my God. I really didn't think your sense of humor was so little. Yeah, that joke. Oh my God. Anyway,
that was subpar. That was definitely.
I'm sorry.
Not
Yeah,
usual, kid.
I was reaching for that one. I was reaching.
Well, it's like, I mean, it was a lot like Brandon reaching to get stuff off the top shelf, because he just can't.
Oh God.
I wonder how many step stools he has in his house.
Oh my God, I can't wait for you to bring Brandon on the show.
Right.
Oh geez.
Anyway, Ken, ultimately, did we answer your question about institutional versus the private sector?
Yeah, I am left with this. I'm left with a desire to help. I'm left with a way to try to do. I want a way to try to help. Besides giving scholarships to classes to cops.
I would say that your buddy Phil Groff there, he's probably a really good way to start, because I think he's probably faced a lot of the same stuff that I have in terms of instruction at the institutional level. Phil's a great dude. I hope he sees this. Phil, you're awesome. And crossing into both of those worlds, and he mentioned it at the AVD class that I was in of his, that there are some things that apply to both worlds and some things that are very specific to the LEO world, and I think you could probably get with him and see who, if I offered a scholarship to, a Green Mountain Defense class or something like that, who's likely to want that. And I bet you he could pick a few names just right off the top of his head. And I bet you that there's probably another few names that even if you went and personally handed them a certificate, it would gather dust if it didn't immediately hit the trash can. There are just some people you're never going to reach. And you have to accept that, or you're going to smash your head into a wall over and over and over.
Well, yeah. I hate to say this, man, but because I've been trying for so long, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It certainly isn't emailing your local sheriff and trying to get his law enforcement officers involved. It certainly isn't that, because I can tell you I have tried several times to contact our local sheriff to get involved with our local law enforcement, and I'm not getting anything, man. I'm not getting anything back. The one thing I will say is ran into I won't give out any names or anything like that. I'm not even going to go too deep into that. But I ran into a local law enforcement officer the other day and talked to him, had a discussion to him about it. He said he'd be in contact with me here soon. So hopefully, I mean, it just takes some time, man. You've got to talk to the people and really try to get involved the best you possibly can. I'm really hoping and praying that somebody, I think it's only just going to take one or two, man. You get one or two in your class, they see what you have to offer, and they're going to realize, man, this is something that we really do need. This is definitely something that's worthwhile. Or, or like Dan says, there's some people you're just not going to reach, man. There's some people they're not willing to accept that they need more training.
You had recent contact with a local LEO. That's code word for Tim got pulled over on his brother's souped up golf cart.
I was actually buying tacos on my lunch break at the local taco truck. He was too.
Yeah. Timmy can get on that golf cart and make it to the taco truck in about 7 seconds.
It's very convenient.
That is.
Yeah.
It really is. So let's see. Where else do we want to go? Mr. Brady had hit me up earlier today, and he wanted to talk a little bit about drills and their use as either a metric and a test or a skill development. You want to expand on that, Dan?
So yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot the last probably month. I've been looking at a lot of different drills. I've shot hundreds of different drills over the course of the years, decades now, and some of them are really worthwhile, and some of them really waste bullets. And Dave, come back to Dave Spalding again. Dave likes to say, don't practice the drill, practice the skills that are going to make the drill a success. And I think I think I really do understand what he means by that. However, I will say that drills, standards, benchmarks. Talked to a mutual friend of ours earlier tonight about the difference between a standard and a benchmark. And I thought that was a really, really important distinction. And I thank him for bringing that up.
Expand on that, would you?
So one of the sets of drills that I've been working with recently have been the Modern Samurai Project Black Belt standards. Which are probably the hardest set of standards I'm aware of with a pistol. They're really, really difficult.
Scott's gonna love that one.
I honestly, I've been shooting pistol. I've probably killed a couple 100,000 9mm primers at this point in time, and boy, I don't know that there is a more difficult set of standards to hit consecutively. So we were talking about this kind of roundtable earlier, sort of like you and I having a podcast with no cameras or microphones, right? And he said, I really think a standard is something that you really can't allow yourself to fall below, and a benchmark is something you try to reach. I thought about that for a second. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. I think a set of standards is for a broad base. It's for a large number of people to be able to perform with a great degree of regularity, to be successful at a high percentage of the time, a skill which is attainable and sustainable, whereas a benchmark is something that is maybe just within reach, just within possibility. If you look at long distance rifle shooting, hitting the X-ring at 1,000 yards with a properly tuned piece of steel and glass, it is a benchmark that is attainable. It is not something that you are going to do with a great degree of regularity. You'll probably hit around it, you'll probably have a lot of 9s, a lot of 10s, but hitting a 3-inch X-ring at 1,000 yards, that's not something you're going to do with a great degree of regularity. And I think that is a benchmark. Sure. I think that's something that we could probably all agree on. And, if I have the opportunity, and hopefully I have the opportunity soon to speak face to face with Mr. Jedolinsky about this. I mean, there's 8 people on Earth who have the black belt patch right now. It's a really small number.
Yeah.
And I know there's plenty of shooters out there who are giving it a good go. But boy, hitting those 4 consecutive standards is just a real bastard. God, it's hard. I think the difference between a benchmark and a standard is important. And the other thing that I have really been thinking about is the drills. And Dave's the one who really put this in my head back when he really started first doing the 2x2x2 drill, which for anybody who happens to be watching who's unfamiliar with it, it's shot at 20 feet, just under 7 yards. It's 2 rounds from concealment under 2 seconds on a 3x5 card, which is a pretty tight standard to do. He used to give out challenge coins, very similar to the fast coin, from which the drill was sort of pulled from, to an extent. And now he does belt buckles. He does belt buckles for the Handgun Combatives 2x2x2 drill. I have coin number 24. I won that 6-ish years ago, I think 5-ish years ago. And it was one of my more proud moments when it came to shooting. It was something that I'd thought about extensively and trained a little bit. But that kind of got me thinking the last month or two. We've got the 2x2x2 belt buckle. You've got the MSP black belt patch. Apache has their own prize. A nice little belt knife for passing the rite of passage drill that Tim has come up with. You've got the turbo pin. That's Caleb Giddings, isn't it? Yeah, the turbo pin for Caleb Giddings.
No, that's Gabe White.
Oh, it's Gabe White. That's Gabe White. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry. Gabe White and Caleb. Don't ever do that again, Dan. It's the whiskey.
Gabe's been on the show. Caleb hasn't yet. Caleb, you're invited. I think Caleb has won a turbo pin.
I think he has too.
In fairness to you, I think that's where that came from.
There's a bunch of people who have come up with these drills and have a bauble of some type that is the prize for performing to a very high standard, basically on demand. It was Todd Green who came up with the fast drill, but I think Ernie Langdon is the one who hands out coins now, right?
That's correct.
Since Todd's passing.
That is correct.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think in one of the things about that is that drills and prizes resonate with people. It's something to aspire to. And I think it does that, grabbing somebody's attention and being like, this is attainable. You can do this. It's difficult. It's hard. It takes discipline. It takes work, but you can do it. And I think that's important. And so, going back to Dave's idea of don't practice the drill, practice the skills that make it a success. Practicing that drill to an extent, not exclusively, not to the detriment of anything else, but practicing that drill is a way to chunk those skills together and see what you are capable of, and then backing off and practicing individual skills, whether that be just the draw from the holster to one shot, whether that is, working your reset on recovery so that you can move your trigger a little bit faster and get those splits down. whether it's reloads or whatever it happens to be. I think the drills and practicing the drills and aspiring to meet certain standards is really important in order to connect with students, in order to be, relatable, current, somebody who pulls students in, not only for them to have their opportunity to win the big prize, but to advance their skill sets in general under your tutelage. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
You're absolutely right. And that's kind of like, that's really the primary reason why we started doing that with Apache. Like in our concealed carry class, we started offering a challenge. We just call it the concealed carry challenge. And the reason why we offer this challenge is to give, to highlight those students who have progressed far enough to pass it. But if it's to the same point, it's a building block, right? So if I tell you, or half the guys in this daggum, chat, if I tell you guys what this challenge is, you're going to be like, okay, dude, seriously, right? We shoot from the 3-yard line, the 5-yard line, the 7-yard line.
No, 7, 5, and 3.
No, 3, 5, and 7.
Oh, I think that's the challenge.
You just drink your whiskey.
Okay.
This is the challenge. And the course, the actual concealed carry class, you shoot from the 3-yard line, the 5-yard line, the 7-yard line. Okay. You've got, certain time limits and stuff like that. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy, man. It's really not that big of a deal. All right. To pass the actual qualification. It's all done in a 7x10 thoracic cavity. Okay. So the challenge at the end of the day, if the student passes with 100%, they get offered the challenge. So if they offer the challenge, I tell them I'll give them an $85 gift certificate now, which is the cost of the class, to anything else Apache related, any other course Apache related. So they basically get their money back and pushed forward to more training if they like, should they meet the challenge, right? All this is, guys, you're talking about a 7x10 thoracic cavity, 7 yards, 7 rounds, 7 seconds from a low ready position. 5 rounds, that was at 7 yards, moved to 5 yards, 5 rounds, 5 seconds at 5 yards, no drops, and then 3 yards, 3 rounds, 3 seconds, all done from a low ready position. Sounds pretty easy to most of all of us, right? But if you think about the average student that comes and takes a concealed carry class, right? I've only had one student pass this.
Right.
Concealed carry, we taught one concealed carry class at least per month last year. And I've only had one student. I mean, you're averaging between, 12 and 20 students a class, right? One student has passed this. That's it.
Wow.
You move forward if it gives them a building block, right? So it's not a big deal if you don't pass it, whatever. Take that as a benchmark for yourself, if you will, right? This is something that would be good for you to strive for. If you can meet this drill, cool. Now you can move forward. Right now, move forward, and let's talk about moving into our everyday carry course.
So you're talking
something along those lines. And our everyday carry course, the rite of passage drill,
right,
builds off of that.
Right.
And so we didn't want to make something that was so difficult that nobody could achieve. And a matter of fact, I had quite a few of my friends and my peers and mentors even say, "Man, that drill's way too easy," right? And still yet, we've got three rite of passage knives out there right now. 3 of them, right? And it's not necessarily one of those it's like the 2x2x2, whereas only a very few people, not very many people meet that, and show up and succeed right off the bat, right? The rite of passage drill is meant to be earned. Like you can earn this. You just have to work towards it, right? And that's just another building block. There's stuff that you can do after that, man. Right. And once you get it, it's something that can easily be repeated.
Right.
Right. It's most definitely a standard. It's not really a benchmark.
It's it's not a benchmark. It is. But so you're talking about the appropriate way to move the goalposts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Essentially,
right. So we talk about, all of us here have had, internet arguments at one point or another, and people talk about oh, you're just shifting the goalposts during the course of a discussion. Yeah, that's the wrong way to go about things, but there is a right way to go about shifting the goalposts as well. Once you can meet a standard, your basic concealed carry standard of you have to be able to do this, and you can repeat that over and over and over again. Well, now it's time to get better, to improve. Kent's tired of hearing my voice.
Yeah, he just takes his
ears right off and just doesn't want to listen to me anymore. Yeah. I mean, this was your idea, and you just don't even want to talk. You don't even want to hear it anymore. So
I had to scratch my ear like a dog. Sorry.
So
I can still hear you.
So the
just moving the goalposts correctly.
You have to move the goalposts correctly. Once you can meet that specific standard time and time again. I mean, there's only two metrics of any importance when it comes to shooting, right? Accuracy,
looking cool, and I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, look cool. That's number one, dude.
God,
look cool, shoot fast, splits get chicks, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, most of the chicks in the shooting community, you don't want to look at anyway.
If two and three don't work out for you, always go for number one. Look cool. Always look cool.
Yeah, always look cool.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. I believe Mr. Brady was referring to speed and accuracy.
Yeah, I mean it's the only two objectively measurable metrics that you can utilize, right?
Yeah, that's about it, really.
I mean, so if you can consistently hit whatever it is that you're shooting at in the designated time, I mean, there's only two ways to improve off that: make the target smaller, go faster,
or shoot it more.
Shoot it more. Sure. I mean,
let's
not at 65 cents a round.
I'm still loading ammo at 17 cents a round.
Ship me 1,000 rounds. I'll send you the money.
Well, I mean, you've got 1,000 rounds just sitting in Brandon's house right now.
I mean, I do. There is that.
Oh my God. So let's expand on one concept, because we've talked about doing the individual drills that help you meet the benchmark. Steve Anderson would call that micro drills. So repetition and refinement, the gamer Bible, right? How to get a faster draw time and how to be a better competition shooter guy. Micro drills. So the concept of micro drills goes a little something like this. We're not practicing the draw. We're practicing our reaction to the beat. We're practicing clearing our cover garment, getting our hands on our gun. We're practicing clearing our cover garment, getting our hands on the gun, getting the gun out.
You saw this before on like the Dry Fire Chronicles, right? I'm pretty sure I saw this on Dry Fire Chronicles.
Yeah. I'm just recycling content because
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't happening just in my own head.
No, because the internet. That's why.
Okay.
Because I am, after all, the YouTube sensation Kent Hauer, right, Rodney?
As dubbed by Rodney White.
Fucking Rodney White. So the whole idea here is that sometimes the drill becomes the benchmark, and then we have to do even smaller micro drills to meet that benchmark.
Yeah.
Does that make some sense?
Sure.
So I wanted to expand on that for the folks at home, because I know the guys that have been on the range with me a lot here recently have been hearing that. And what you're hearing is somebody 700, 600, 500 miles away, I don't know, who didn't know. He and I didn't really plan talking about this, other than he asked me if it was cool to talk about. And we done said the same shit
Yeah.
We literally just said the same shit. I don't know where you went, Don, if you went to bed or not, but this other guy just said the same shit. So there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if that builds me credibility or it doesn't. Maybe it hurts me. I don't know. But Dan Brady and I agree on micro drills.
Well, I mean, it's
Micro drills.
It's not a secret. I mean, Brian Enos wrote about that in I think 1999 in Fundamentals of Practical Shooting. Or
I don't know. I was buying magazines at that time just to look at the pictures.
You were buying comic books. Actually, yeah, I mean, you had your lunch money stolen by people.
I did buy a lot of gun magazines. I just couldn't read.
You still can't read.
Oh my God, I knew that was coming. So what was that you said that Spalding had said to you before, right? You want to learn something new, read an old book.
Yeah.
This stuff has definitely been out there.
It's been out there for a long time. You know, I mean, you look at look, all right, the sudden resurgence of appendix carry, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to discuss this even on your show. But I mean, there were dudes teaching appendix carry, forward of the hip classes back in the 80s. This is not new. The technology is certainly better. The advent of the molded Kydex holster is, I mean, honestly, probably the most important thing to happen to the Glock since the Glock, aside from maybe the red dot sight. But again, I mean, you're going back to the late 80s, I think, was when Jerry Barnhart, probably early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, Jerry Barnhart, really brought the red dot sight into the practical shooting community, back when IPSC was IPSC and not USPSA. I mean, you're talking about stuff that was back when he was buying lollipops at the corner store. This is not new. I'm just look. I'm not as
at the corner store.
You didn't buy lollipops at the corner store? When I was a little kid, I bought lollipops at the corner store, man. Like, Grandma gave me $5 so you could go in there, buy a pack of cigarettes and some lollipops at the corner store.
Grandma sent him down there for a glass jar of milk that had a cow's tit in it 20 minutes beforehand.
I'm picturing little skinny Dan walking into this candy store where this guy's sweeping up all the dust out of the floor and he's dipping his hand into the glass candy jars, trying to get
happened.
The little peppermint, and he's putting his nickel up there on the countertop for his peppermint. He worked all week to get this nickel.
Oh my God!
He's laughing like he's been drinking.
So
it's ridiculous.
As he's walking around the neighborhood with a wicker basket collecting metal to recycle to get the nickels.
Oh my God, you guys are ridiculous.
I could totally picture it. He walked uphill both ways in flip flops to school in the snow.
Yeah, man. Come on, dude. When I was a kid, what I spent my hard-earned 25-50 cents on was Hot Wheel cars. Hot Wheels, man. That was the thing. Hot Wheels. Anybody else?
No, Hot Wheels for sure. As a matter of fact,
how old are you? I don't even know how old you are. How old are you?
I'm 34.
Yeah, so you're almost 10 years younger than me.
Yeah. Collecting pop bottles, Brandon.
I think Brandon's older than me.
Speaking of lollipop, is it in like the
lollipop guild?
Oh my God. This is just a bunch of Nulltech short jokes at this point. This is fucking, oh man, this is terrible. So
drill standards benchmarks. I answer your question there, what we were discussing.
You did. You really did. So let's do the stuff that you may or may not know that we do on this show. First of all, I'm going to just ask you real quick, because I know this is going to be a really good answer. I'm going to ask you for some recommended reading. So I know you're a deep thinker and a reader. So let's get some recommended reading out there.
Principles of Personal Defense by the late great Colonel Cooper. Dave Spaulding's Handling Combatives, second or third edition now. I forget which edition we're on. The Law of Self-Defense by Andrew Branca, Esquire. I mean, the vast majority of the people watching this right now and who will watch this do a lot of this already. A lot of people know how to shoot. We all work on shooting better. The principles behind legal, lawful, deadly force application for self-defense, I can't recommend that book enough, because regardless of where you live in America, and this is specific to America, anybody who happens to be in Canada or wherever else,
there's one.
You need to stick to these 5 pillars of lawful self-defense that Andrew Branca covers. Andrew's a longtime friend of mine. I've been to both his seminars, Law of Self-Defense seminars. I have signed copies of 2 out of the 3 editions of his book, and they are nightstand reading for me. They stay on my nightstand. Really, really important stuff. Highly recommended. For anybody in the law enforcement community, especially, Reasonable, Justified, and Necessary by T.C. Fuller was originally published under a pseudonym, Dan Bernoulli. I can't remember which one he's currently publishing it under, but also very important book, especially for anybody in the LEO community. The book itself is based heavily off his PhD dissertation, his doctorate level dissertation, which I had the honor of reading through while he was in the midst of writing it. For a dissertation, it was reasonably not dry. Anybody who's read more than one dissertation, getting through some of them is an exercise in concentration and discipline a lot of times.
Real quick, Dan, Landon, dissertations are things that college people write on that white stuff with the squiggly lines.
Right.
I just thought, yeah, I'm sure Landon's over there like, the hell's a dissertation? Is that what you eat after dinner or what? Anyway. I'm sorry.
Yes, that's a high level college paper, Landon. It's yonder.
Inside jokes are great on podcasts. I love it. And we're not telling them either. Fuck yeah. If you weren't there, you weren't there. I don't know what to tell you. That's awesome. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm one. I can't even spell what Landon says.
I touched on it earlier. Brian Enos's book. I think it's called Fundamentals of Practical Shooting. I've got a copy of that that's probably been underlined, underscored, highlighted, dog-eared a number of times. I think he wrote that in like 1999 or 97. It's been around for a minute. That's kind of it off the top of my head. I would say if those, if there's 5 books or so that you should really have ready access to, those would be them. The one that Spaulding wrote with Ed Lovett, Defensive Living or Living Defensively.
Yeah. No, it's Defensive Living.
Defensive Living. That's also very, very worthwhile. It's got a little bit more on the mindset of developing an armed lifestyle, and what that means ultimately. We kind of touched earlier prior to the podcast on making the decision to go about armed full time, and by full time we mean all the fucking time. My personal rule is that if I have shoes on, I have a gun If I'm chilling at home, my feet are up, my doors are locked, my surveillance cameras are on, maybe then it's okay to put the guns away. But if I have shoes on my feet, I'm carrying a gun. I don't care if I'm taking my trash down to the curb, checking my mail, walking out to grab the level out of my shed because I need to hang a picture on the wall. If I put shoes on my feet, I put a gun on. It's that simple. There's a couple places on planet Earth that you can catch me with shoes on and no gun, and most of them are the security side of a commercial airport.
Yeah, that makes sense. So awesome. One thing I want to point out real quick, I'm going to ask you to touch on before I do my second outro question. A lot of those books and a lot of the recommended reading that we've had brought up in the past has to do with competition shooting. Can you briefly touch on, Dan, your thoughts of the value of competition shooting for defensive-minded users of guns?
Sure. So all training, and all competition has a degree of artificiality to it, right?
Sure.
Even in force on force stuff, there is no reasonable expectation of serious injury or death. There's just not. We as trainers go to great lengths to make sure that there is no reasonable expectation of serious injury or death. Mostly because our insurance carriers would be really fucking pissed if there was any kind of expectation of that. So
hashtag photo.
We really go to great lengths to make training safe. Competition, same thing. There's a lot of match directors and SROs and folks who are really very diligent about making sure that things are done safely. And the fact of the matter is, on the two-way range, there's no such fucking thing. It is an inherently chaotic moment. It's the worst moment of your life. Or if you make a habit of it, one of the worst moments of your life. Where's that guy in California, jewelry store owner, got in like 7 or 8 fucking gunfights or something like that. Another great book. I think it's called The Deadliest Men. It's a sort of a historical view of people in America who've, over the course of the last century or so, been involved in numerous life-threatening altercations. And there's one jewelry store owner back in California from the 80s to probably early 2000s, kind of like 7 or 8 gunfights, prevailed in all of them. Really, really good book. But anyway, competition and the defensive-minded individual. The shot timer is, referred to by some people as the idiot box or the brain eraser, because you can sit there and look at a stage and really have a very good idea of what you are going to do and how you are going to do it and where you're going to reload and how you're going to get around this piece of cover. And then as soon as you hear that beep, your brain just evaporates, and you just you go through as you see it. And that's the difference between like a CB class shooter like me and a grandmaster. The grandmasters, the guys who just, and they go through exactly as planned, and they break down the stage to the micro drills. And they're capable of doing exactly what they plan out, and just eking out every single 10th or 100th of a second. But shooting competition it does a couple of things for you. One, you get the pressure. You get a little bit of pressure. We've all been standing on the line, shooting a drill, and maybe the instructor's coming by, timer, and timing each one, and you've got 10, 15, 20 people all looking at you, watching you perform this drill that everybody has to do. But when you sit there on a stage and you have to draw, shoot, move, shoot, engage targets with limited exposure, shoot from off positions around something from a shooting box or a fault line. And you also have, another 10, 12, 15 people in your squad of varying abilities. Maybe you have a brand new shooter who's like really intent on watching you and like, man, that guy's really, really awesome. And you might have, a master or a GM being like, look at this piker. There's I'd be embarrassed to shoot like that. And so you have this variety of perspectives looking at you, and that they're looking at you. There's a lot of pressure there. And like I said, the pressure of the timer, knowing that timer is going to judge you and it really doesn't give a shit about your feelings. It's something that's there. And the other thing that you get out of that is the reps of doing that, of pressing that trigger under time pressure, with accuracy standards that are achievable, but under pressure get a lot more difficult. I think, I've been shooting IDPA since 2002, IPSC since right around the same time, on and off. I stopped for a little while and did some child rearing things and moved and got divorced. Things like that tend to eat into your budget, personal time, stuff like that. But as much as possible, I think competition, it breeds a desire to be better, more than any of the other things that I just spoke about. The desire to get better and to perform at a higher level is inherent in any competitive sport.
Heck yeah, man. You're talking to a guy who just ran an IDPA match this past weekend with a revolver because I'm a sadist. Oh, my Lord. What an afternoon that was.
Well, now I'm curious. What'd you shoot for a Revo, dude?
GP 100 match champ 10 mil with 40s in moon clips.
40s.
All right, so you took a man's gun and put a girl's round in it, and then moon clips on top of it. So you didn't.
And that's all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for fucking guy. No, you're right. You are right. But when you're shooting against dudes who don't have to reload, and you're there constantly reloading, you're like, oh, this is not fun. It was actually a lot of fun.
So the local competition league that I participate in on the East Coast there, the guy who runs it, and it's not USPSA, it's not IDPA, it's kind of his own conglomeration thereof. He's a retired USPSA Grandmaster revolver shooter, and he's competed against Michalek, the top names, in the revolver game. And he's really good, and he regularly spanks me with a revolver. He's unbelievable.
I am also a retired revolver shooter.
I said revolver grandmaster.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. And that's all the time we have. Yeah. No. Oh my God, dude. What an experience. So yeah, we're gonna include some competitive elements into the CCW Essentials class that's coming to Apache.
Awesome.
FYI, we're gonna show some of them Apache dudes how to run practice score, and those guys are gonna learn how to set up stages and drills and track their own metrics.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's a that will only happen at CCW Essentials in Yadkinville this year, but it will happen
This
in
guy
Yadkinville.
just learned what Comstock scoring was.
I know. It's okay.
It's sad, man. It really is.
You know what? It's not sad. It's a credit to you that you shot so well and you never even played with any of that stuff.
Yeah, but I have a great appreciation for competition. I mean, if anything can show you, well, at least really introduce you to what, I don't know, that serious degradation of skill set, due to duress, that's competition. That is competition. It's a huge introduction to that. I just don't get it very often, man. My only experience in competition is in the Glock Sports Shooting Foundation, indoor and outdoor series and that sort of thing. Running into like IDPA and IPSC and stuff like that is really never. Every time I talk to somebody about it, it's always been like, man, these guys run these super fancy vests and these rigs, and you've got to shoot a 1911, and if you don't shoot a 1911, it's got to be this, and you've got to. There's just all these rules, and I was like, I'm just gonna go over here, and I'm gonna go pew.
I'm not saying you're wrong there, because
I just haven't been formally. I really haven't been formally
in a lot of leagues, especially if you get around a place where USPSA is huge or where IDPA is huge, you'll have match directors who are Nazis. They're absolute Nazis about shit. And IDPA, you can't shoot appendix.
Right.
Like in fact, one of the lead people in IDPA fairly recently chastised somebody rather publicly about allowing some appendix stuff. I won't say where I read that, but Phil Groff had something to do with it. And
she's wrong, by the way.
I know she's wrong. I know.
Joyce, you're wrong.
It was never mind. But the thing is, if you're gonna try to compete against a GM and you don't have an SVI with a frame mounted red dot and 135 millimeter magazines and some 147s loaded to exactly the right FPS plus or minus 10, you're gonna get smoked, man. But that's not the point. The point is that you are testing yourself on an unknown array, where you get one walkthrough and then you got to shoot it. And you're talking about multiple target engagements. You're talking about multiple hits per target, calling your hits, because if you're calling a mic or a delta and that you've got that extra, that alpha hit is going to pick up that half a second penalty, then you take it. But if you're not going to be able to pick it up, so I mean, you're actively doing math in your head while you're engaging this, dude. It is a thinking game. It's about thinking fast, and I'm talking fast. And being able to call those shots, of being able to like alpha, Mike. No, I want to make that up, alpha, and moving from there, Charlie. Fuck, it's good enough, and go from there. I'm telling you, man, it'll pick up your game.
I'm not against it at all. I just haven't. It's not very obviously. They don't have too many IDPA competitions or IPSC competitions or anything like that in good old Yadkinville, North Carolina.
You and I will shoot a match together.
I've got to find some stuff, man.
No, we're gonna do it together.
Hang out in my league, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna do it in the state.
Actually, a good friend of mine just invited me to a 2-gun match this weekend. We'll see what the wife says. I might go. Who knows?
Do it. You really should do it. Anyway, yeah, competition is good. We like competition. You guys should do it. But we're definitely going to integrate some of that stuff into my class when I come down there, because you guys will appreciate it. So That's my little special Dan Brady question. My last question is a question for everybody, whoever comes on the show, which is, Mr. Brady, would you please pick a charity?
Oh,
yeah, I know. I put you on the spot.
Yeah, super on the spot there.
I know.
St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Amen. I like it. So here's the deal. TJ has been designing a T-shirt for every episode. He's fighting with the Russians tonight, so he hasn't currently done this yet for tonight's show, but there will be.
So I'm super mad at the Russians right now because I haven't met this dude.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard a lot about him, and you talk all about him and what he looks like in the shower and everything else. And I wanted to meet this guy.
I'm very sorry about that. That just means that when you come back for Dan Brady Part 2, the election.
Oh, there's no Part 2. I don't have that kind of depth.
I heard that. Anyway, that was a dick joke on a podcast. Sponsors will love that. Let's do ad reads. So real quick, here's what's going to happen. TJ will design you up a Dan Brady episode shirt, and the proceeds from that shirt sales will go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Fantastic.
So that's how we do it here on the Sling'N led podcast. Let's see. Oh my God. I almost read the charity that Brandon put up on the thing, and it's not real. And I literally almost was like, oh, this is another good shit. Yeah, no.
It's the Human Fund. Money for people.
United Midget Stretching Foundation of America.
Oh my God. Anyway, well, listen, guys, we could do this literally all night. There will be a part 2 because we could.
Yeah, we have done this all night. Yeah. We've done this all night multiple times.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. But we're gonna move to wrap the show. So real quick, greenmountaindefense.com/affiliate-links. That's our ad read. If we're supporting them or sponsoring them, or they're supporting or sponsoring us, that's where you can find them. If you're going to buy gun stuff anyway, go there. Check out the website for our affiliated training companies. Apache Solutions is obviously on here already. Figure Training, 360 Performance, Modern Samurai Project, Tim Heron Shooting, Evolution Training Solutions, Gunset is on here right now. Whole bunch of folks that we forward other folks in their training inquiries to. So if you can't find good firearms training in your area, it's simply because you're not looking. So check that out as well. greenmountaindefense.com/affiliate-links. All the information for everybody we think is worth a shit is deposited on that one page. If you've got somebody that you think should be on that list and isn't, please let me know, and we'll vet them. We'll get them on the show, and we'll talk through it. That being said, really appreciate everybody's participation. It's been a really awesome chat. Oh my God, no attack! I just can't. I'm just gonna not look at the chat while I'm trying to be serious.
Have you met Brandon? Have you met Brandon?
If you don't put him on the show soon, man.
I've invited him 6 times tonight. He's never responded in the chat that he would actually do it. Maybe he just isn't tall enough to reach the yes button. I don't know, but there's a joke. I just cracked a joke on a guy I've never met in person. Really would enjoy it though. So let's do that. Let's see what else. greenmountaindefense.com/training is where you can find our upcoming course schedule. We have 20. Yes, he says, I am in. There we go. Tonight's episode landed us yet another victory. Every time we have
the great thing, Kent, the great thing about having Brandon on your show is you don't ever have to say anything. All you'll have to say is, hey, I'm Kent Hauer. And then as soon as you introduce him, he will talk nonstop for 90 minutes. He won't even breathe the entire time.
He's trying to close out the show, bro. And you've been talking this whole time.
I'm just saying.
I was going to say, Dan,
Brandon, don't worry.
Dan, it takes one to know one, homie. Oh, my God. Anyway, greenmountaindefense.com/training. There are 20 open enrollment group classes on the calendar this year. 20. So get in on those. Shitload of privates, hosting a bunch of good folks, being hosted by some good folks. Really looking forward to that. So that's where you can sign up for all of that good stuff. And let's see, there's at least one other person on here who should probably plug some training opportunities. Tim, you want to maybe tell us who's coming and why and when and where and how they can do that? Let's do that.
First EDC course of the year is in mid-March. I don't do dates really well. It's like the second weekend of March or something like that, second or third. Come and take that. We've got a lot of really cool stuff happening with it. We've introduced an hour long a block of instruction on some medical stuff in that course. We've also refined a lot of the skill sets and drills that we do, and brought the round count down from 500 rounds to 300 rounds. So once again, very refined. EDC course is always evolving anyway. So get in on that one. In April, we've got Tatiana Whitlock coming down teaching her 2-day defensive handgun course. Get in on that. Of course, we got Dave Spalding coming in May of Handgun Combatives, teaching his vehicle combatives course. And he's also agreed to teach his Red Dot course, his MRDS workshop the Friday before. It's a 1-day class. I believe that's May 14th, I want to say. Are there any seats left for that? And there's like a handful. I'm thinking like 3 or 4 seats left. Last time I checked, there's not very many. So if you're going to get in that class, you might want to sign up now. Let's see. As of immediately right now, that's what we got. Private sessions are really cooking, and yeah. Oh, I'm talking about as of right now. I'm expecting to be back on the show here sometime soon. All right, fine. Scotty Crime's coming in November, I think it is. Yeah, he's teaching he's teaching his carbine course, and yes. Our man, Ken Howard, Green Mountain Defense, is coming down to teach his CCW Essentials in August. And we can't wait to have you, bro.
Kent Howard of internet fame?
The YouTube sensation.
YouTube Kent Howard. That's what it is.
Howard,
yes.
Green Mountain Defense.
I see how it is. I'm coming down. I'm getting me a casserole. That's all I know about August. I'm coming in August and I'm being fed a casserole. That's what I know. That's what I know. No, I can't wait, dudes. So Dan, this is your episode, man. You get the last word. What do you got for us?
I'm not one for inspirational speaking. I don't think I've ever had an original thought in my entire life. That said, I do a fair amount of reading, and I think somebody else has always said it better before. So today I'll quote Paul Howe. Get some training. A $500 bat won't fix a $1 swing.
I like that one. That's real good. You heard it here, guys. $500 bat, $1 swing. Don't be that guy. Look, thanks so much. Like, favorite, subscribe, share. Green Mountain Defense, Sling'N Lead Podcast, Apache Solutions, Handgun Combatives. All these guys here in this chat, Gunset, Null Attack. I hate to admit this, but social media currency is currency these days. So if you value the information that these people continue to come on here and give for free, if you cannot get to one of their courses or take part in any of the services that they offer, the least you could do is go find them, go give them a follow, tell them the Sling'N Lead Podcast sent you, and sincerely thank them like I get the opportunity to all the time. Dan, I really appreciate you coming on here and doing this, my man.
Hey,
Tim, as always, I appreciate you continuing to expose us to better and better folks, and you've been an awesome asset to us, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, see you guys next week, and until we see each other again, get out and shoot. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.